Hello, welcome to the next episode of the Cinema Minute. I'm Grant Robson.
And I'm Chris Allen.
This week we're going to be talking about Batman vs Superman. Spoiler Showdown, so if you haven't seen the film, there will be spoilers in this episode, okay?
Yeah, I think as most of you will know, and most of you I guess might have seen it by the $500 million that this film's made, but it's definitely been a pretty divisive one. Critics definitely seem to be of pretty much of one mind, and
But
that's
audiences...
not necessarily a positive one.
But audiences love it, so...
But yeah, there's a big split, I guess, with audiences, and this might become apparent. There might be a split between me and Grant. But we'll get into that, I suppose, too. So let's get straight to it. We're going to be using something from the Washington Post actually to help with this. Just that slightly breaks down the film point by point. We'll kind of go through the whole thing and shed some of our thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But initially, though, before we get into that, what are your sort of initial ideas, initial thoughts?
Well, we've been talking about this a lot before we started shooting. I absolutely love the film. From a comic book fan perspective, it had so much in, which I think a lot of the criticisms that are there are based on how much the film had in itself. But I loved it. Loved the fight scene, loved Lex Luthor. Got a new favourite Batman now, so all good things. Really looking forward to the origin stories as well from Batman vs Superman. So let's go to Chris's.
I am listening. The article on Washington Post that breaks this down, it has changed into an article about Donald Trump, which so I need to find that link again. But I suppose maybe that's relevant for a film where we get a bit of a bat Trump.
Oh, don't.
Yeah,
don't.
You know. I like.
So let's start
I didn't
from the
hate
top.
the film. Would be my kind of initial thoughts on it, but I can't really champion it. I liked it. I guess I didn't come into this liking Man of Steel very much, but I also didn't come into this wanting to like rage on it like so many people on the internet have been. Like, I came into this film wanting something amazing. Like I go into every film wanting to say something amazing. I wouldn't go out of my way to say something that I'm not going to enjoy, especially not going to enjoy for like 7 hours of this film. About
2 hours
7, if I'm putting aside like a full weekend of my time, I kind of want it to be something worthwhile. But I suppose based on those trailers, which we've already talked about on this show, which are were not great as trailers, and kind of did give a lot away too.
A lot of footage,
it is slightly difficult to get away from that standpoint, and for me, I don't know if it ever really did. Like, but maybe that's a good place to start as any. So we've got. I found the article as well. I sneakily did that. That was some multitasking I was doing there too. But first off, we get something. But we've got plenty of times
so
before we get the death of Thomas and Martha.
Wayne.
That
Hold
might be important. Wayne. What did you think of this sort of reinterpretation, I suppose?
It's something we've seen a lot before. Everybody knows Batman's origin story. My mum knows Batman's origin story. Anybody who's ever known anything about superheroes will probably know more than anything Batman and Superman's origin story, which is why I don't think we need them in this film. As a good opener, it was maybe from anybody watching, as soon as they heard the word Martha, they thought, well, that's interesting, that's going to be important later in the film. But I don't think they expected to be used the way it was. Yeah,
I think this is something we'll get into, but this is one of those weird sort of contradictions the film has in itself. Kind of expecting the audience to know a lot about comic books lore, and then giving us something that everyone, again, our mums, our own Marthas, know, own mothers know about the DC, know that, Batman's parents have been shot, and making, I suppose in one way they get it out of the way and just sort of opening titles or whatever, basically. But I suppose it does leave that Martha link for later. Visually,
beautiful.
Very much a Zack Snyder scene, a lot of slow motion, pearls going everywhere, I suppose it's kind of what you come to expect from him.
Yeah. Visually it was very nice, but there's been a lot of problems with the origin story of spoiler alert. In the one particular part of in the initial scene, young Bruce is kind of raised up by bats out of the well that he fell into, and everyone was like, "What the hell is going on here?" But then Ben Affleck said this, "Oh, it was all a dream."
Again, so yeah, something that keeps going back to this, but like, again, there's nothing wrong with using dream sequences, but like the stuff, the way they're used in this film is a little bit.
It's jarring
and perplexing, and yeah, especially when you see him in that elevator sort of thing in that dream sequence. It's like, oh, this is gonna be like, and it's like, oh, like doing the Dallas thing. It was all a dream, like over and over again. Like, you know, I suppose that's maybe a saving grace.
Yeah.
The best part, I think, again, something we talked about in the opening, for me at least, of this opening sequence was seeing Bill Finger's name getting dropped into the opening credits.
God.
Any comic fans will know how much of a big deal him being credited as a co-creator with.
I think it's actually the first time in history that you actually of any Batman incarnation.
Yeah, so this is, you know, a big deal for someone who's kind of deserved justice.
Yeah.
You know, this is the dawn of justice for Bill Finger, if nothing else. One slight quibble I've got with this reimagine of the origin scene as well is that, like, does Batman's father like swings for the shooter?
Yeah. I don't remember that in any comic books on the comic book pages anyway, but it was kind of nice. It was kind of he fought for his family, but it wasn't.
Sort of, but well, it's equally like it's like how much of it is his fault that they got shot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it goes from being a threat to being.
Yeah.
You know, is it even been an accidental shooting? You know, like
kind of changed the last word. Like Thomas Wayne says in every kind of incarnation of Batman as well. Just
and again, you know, the fact that might be laying them off really laying that Martha pipe a bit more in this. But you know, that's something that yeah, you know, just that like guy beating someone up again, you know, like especially when it was so well done in Batman Begins.
Yeah, it was.
You know, a decade ago, so thing. Like, you know, to get one where it's such a condensed version, and I don't know, but
I think it's kind of gone the way of the comic books that way. So without telling a lot of the backstory, you could just tell it in a 4-panel kind of shot. They do it a lot.
That's the thing, yeah.
All-Star Superman. They do it in a lot of comic books that have characters that've got a lot of backstory, which is essentially what they're trying to do here. Now, the main problem I have with Zack Snyder's style of editing, would you say, is that it doesn't follow chronology ever. A lot of these films do the exact same thing. It was my main gripe with Man of Steel as well. But this time he kind of set it in chronological order, but threw in a load of dream sequences, and that again jarred the film. It changes the flow all the way through.
Yeah,
keeps stopping and starting.
I mean, again, you know, in an almost 3-hour-long film, pace is something that isn't well adhered to, and I suppose there'll be other time to get to that too. I guess next, it cuts to something we're already familiar with, I suppose, the end of Man of Steel, the much sort of criticised end of Man of Steel, the sort of city leveling fight between Superman and Zod, but this time we get it from Bruce Wayne's perspective. This is a scene I liked.
This is a scene I liked a lot. This is probably one of the few things we agreed on how good that scene was. Yeah.
It's still going well. But you know, I think again, a lot of the criticism people had for that initial scene is like Superman is leveling a city with this fight with Zod, and you know, people saying that contradicts what we should know as Superman as a hero. You know, doing something that's so destructive. You know, Bruce Wayne has that same opinion as a lot of that audience had in that first time. You know, like saying like this is wrong, and you know, having sort of a personal collection for him with his tower block and the one guy he knows who works there who won't leave. Like literally like the sort of guy who's
but as we pointed out,
world-destroying spaceship over there. But
we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait at the end of the day.
Hang fire, guys.
Clock out at 4. But as we did point out, the same thing happens at the Daily Planet in that whole scenario. So in the space, we don't know how long it is. We don't know where it's coming from. But basically, there's still people in the building when it's like outside the world's ending.
Yeah. So that like jump of logic isn't confined to just one, but loads of skyscrapers.
It is an excellent way of showing why Batman hates Superman, first of all, kill these employees, but it also shows a side of Batman that a lot of people have discussed is he cares for people, he cares for his employees and things like that. He's running in to save the day without the bat costume, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most heroic we see Batman being in this film.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Which
when
says a
he's
lot.
Bruce Wayne, you know, the scene of him running towards the toppling building is visually amazing. You know, like the sort of immediate aftermath of that, again walking through the fog and seeing a horse, like, you know, using that sort of 9/11 imagery of like saving the guy from underneath the girder and saving the little girl afterwards as well. Like, you know, this is Batman in full, you know, at his most heroic in this whole film, and you know, it's when he's just in his shirt and tie sort of thing,
shirt and tails. That's all he needs. He's still a hero at heart. But as we were saying, this leads on a lot into the film. Batman's not very heroic from that point on, really, is it?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is where my, I suppose, gripes start coming in with it. Like, you know, the sort of portrayal of these two heroes and how much we see them actually being heroic in this film. Again, the first time you see Superman in this film, it is him over that scene, like Batman with sword.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's for that to be the introduction of our character is odd. I mean, the next time we see him, I guess, is going a scene on or so when we see him kind of coming to save Lois Lane in the middle of the desert and sort of smashing someone through a concrete wall. Yeah, you know, like you know, so it's very troubling. You know, like, again, the sort of position we're putting it in for these characters to be heroes is literally, well, first this is when you know, one of our title heroes is destroying a city, you might remember from a couple of years ago, and now here he is, like, smashing someone through a concrete wall to save his girlfriend or whatever. You know, it's kind of like morally a bit of a tough one.
Which is, I think that's where a lot of our opposing views come from. Reading a lot of the comics and reading a lot of the pre-production press around it, it was heavily based on the fight Batman versus Superman, which is in Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. And the storyline essentially is Batman as a 60-year-old man. He doesn't fight anymore. It's been a decade since he wore the costume. But he decided to come out of retirement. And one of the results of that coming out of retirement is that he doesn't care about killing bad guys anymore. He's very brutal. He's very brash. He doesn't listen to his colleagues, if you could call them that, which is essentially the Batman Ben Affleck was playing in this film. He doesn't listen to anybody. He doesn't kind of come across as a nice guy, certainly not, but he's the best Batman portrayal I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, Ben Affleck, I really enjoyed his performance, but Ben, I don't know how much I felt like the character was Batman. Again, the difference between this and, you know, Frank Miller's comics and stuff, those comics were following on from a massive history of other Batman comics. Definitely. If this is a reboot of a new history, you know, they go to sort of great lengths to say that it isn't the Batman we've had on screen in the Tim Burton years or the Christopher Nolan years. You know, it's something new. You know, we don't have that history of the character. This is the character we've got, and this version of the character we've got, we don't understand why. There might be very sort of minor hints dropped, like something might have happened with Robin. We see the suit a bit later on. You know, something might have happened with the Joker because of the spray paint on it and stuff like that. But, you know, we don't know that. So again, you know, it's kind of given us something that maybe hardcore comic book fans might understand if they've read a comic book from 20 odd years ago, sort of thing. But for the average cinema goer, you know, it is kind of a big leap when they've already done something like to re-establish something that's, you know, very much level one Batman thing, like his parents were shot. Did then expect you to sort of know that he's had this troubled past or whatever. I guess moving on to that, like, desert scene, what do you think about? So we see Jimmy Olsen. Very briefly.
But nobody actually knew until after the film either that it was actually Jimmy Olsen. So.
Actually, Zack Snyder's come out this week and said that that scene was slightly extended, I suppose, in that Blu-ray cut we're getting, where he does introduce himself as Jimmy Olsen. But, you know, again, as a, you know, something that's setting up our world, the character that's so important as Superman.
Yes, definitely.
What do you think the fact he's killed off 2 minutes later, I suppose?
I think it's just a kind of... I think what he's trying to do is create a world just for the superheroes, so killing off characters that aren't necessarily that important or exciting. Jimmy Olsen, all he ever does is get saved, which is essentially what Lois Lane is in this film. She's just a damsel in distress.
We'll get into that in a second.
But at the same time, I think it's just killing off the useless characters. They've got so much potential now from all of the characters they've introduced in Dawn of Justice alone. I just don't think they're necessary anymore. They're kind of gone up for a bygone age.
It's a funny one. Again, a film that like relies so much on fan service, like giving fans what they want. Like, here's this cool thing, here's this cool thing. But then doing something that, because Jimmy Olsen will have his fans, like hardcore Superman fans, like, like Jimmy Olsen's an integral part of that universe. To have him killed off straight away. Yeah. Well, that's kind of like, it's weirdly given with one hand and taken away with the other, I suppose.
I agree, yeah.
But I guess we've just mentioned Lois Lane there, and again, this is one of my big sort of gripes with the film. The way that Lois Lane is kind of portrayed in it. This first time we see her, she's a damsel in distress, having to get saved. This keeps happening throughout the film. Later from when she's on the sort of skyscraper with Lex Luthor, when she's kind of trying to get the sector from underwater and stuff. She's always literally 3 times the damsel in distress in one film, which is like,
it's useless. She is a useless character.
When you've got an actress that is like good as Amy Adams, when you're releasing a film in 2016, do you expect more from a female character than,
especially a female lead character? She has a lot more dialogue, a lot more screen time than even Wonder Woman in the film. And you don't see a lot from her. It was quite disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, again, especially since the next scene is when whatever, she says in that scene, I'm not just a woman, I'm a journalist. Like, apparently it's my Amy Adams impression that I've been working on for so long. But, in that next scene, it's saying that, like, it's trying to make her a character who isn't just a damsel in distress, but in a scene where she becomes a damsel in distress. In the next scene, where she's in a bath.
Yeah, having a bath. Superman wanders in.
Yeah, like,
no problem.
Kind of, that one really struck us as something like...
Yeah, that was a strange one.
This just is like an excuse to have...
There was a nip slip as well. There was definitely a nip slip. I'm going to have to watch it again, but I'm sure I'm seeing the nipple.
You'll definitely be, like, buying the Blu-ray. But, like, again, it just seems like such a weird way to present, like, someone you're trying to say is a strong character, but are doing nothing to prove that she's a strong character. Definitely. And literally just making a damsel in distress or a sex object. You know what I mean? Like, she's in the back. Like, if she's going to have an emotionally powerful scene or saying something with weight, oh well, she better be naked to, like, balance that out, because you can't just be serious and wearing, like, a shirt, and wearing a t-shirt while she's in it.
You can't be in a pantsuit saying it.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you've got to be in the bath, obviously.
It's like that's something that
but no bubbles, because we're being serious.
Like, where's something where it's like 2 massive men, like, spraying on each other for the majority of the film. Like, that being the portrayal of women is a bit like, but not to go full film studies and stuff like that, but that might be...
it's not the only, like, female lead that blows people away in this film, though. So
yeah, I mean, when we get to Wonder Woman, I suppose that's a different case.
Opposite, but, polar opposites,
yeah, so let's just move it. I guess next, we kind of have some of our Senate sort of storyline.
Right, yes.
Again, I guess we'll get an introduction of our Lex Luthor here.
The whole premise of the film is about accountability. So how do you control or rein in a man with unlimited power? It's got a lot of, like, social political aspects to the film that are trying to raise questions about, like, real life, but with superheroes, obviously. It kind of just doesn't do it justice. You have people asking for accountability to have court hearings and things like that, and they're making Superman accountable for his actions from Metropolis from the previous film, but there's no reason for him to listen, or no real need for...
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those weird things where this accountability becomes something that's Lex Luthor's sort of initial plan, to sort of frame Superman for, the character we've just mentioned, but Ben Affleck saves in that opening scene, Bruce Wayne saves, him kind of becoming this character in a wheelchair who becomes sort of a pawn, and eventually again kind of becomes a bomb, I suppose. That's kind of set up in a way to sort of frame Superman, but the payoff isn't there, because, like, it's kind of instantly said that, oh well, Superman wasn't there, and then it's kind of not mentioned again.
So
it's kind of a
same
weird...
problem again with pacing.
Yeah, again, it's a weird sort of setting something up, which is kind of an interesting idea. Again, the idea that how accountable should Superman be for his actions in that film, which is kind of the premise of this film to an extent. But then there's kind of no payoff for it, and there's a massive, it's kind of already made that conclusion that there's a massive statue And again, like, you know, it's an odd one because, again, this is something where I say that they're kind of not doing the characters justice. In that, again, I keep saying every time I say justice, like, justice? Don't want to do this. Like, but, you know, like, there is room for moral ambiguity. And, like, you know, that sort of decision making. You know, we're getting Civil War later this year.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is all about this. We've just had Daredevil Series 2, which again is about this clash of characters.
Yeah.
You know, this clash of ideals and stuff like that.
It seems like a very important theme.
Yeah, but like Superman, again, like, isn't a morally grey character. Like, and you know, to kind of put him in the middle of this is, again, it just doesn't seem to be service actually to the character in some ways. But again, like, in the film, I just feel like it's something that does slow it down a lot and doesn't necessarily take us anywhere.
But I think it's good to address that accountability as well, especially if it's going to come up later in other films, especially like Suicide Squad, which is the essential thing is the government use team of covert operatives to do their dirty work, but they've got no accountability. So that's going to be another theme in Suicide Squad again. That's going to be explored in a different way with villains this time. But I think that when you're using characters as big as Batman versus Superman, the government should have a big say in what's going on. The way they try to portray it, but then killing all them characters off just in one blow, like one explosion. It's just kind of, again, it doesn't add anything at all.
It doesn't take us anywhere too.
No.
Also, just like a quick note on this one, you get the introduction of like piss in a jar to the DC, into the comic book universe, I suppose. That's one didn't necessarily see coming. Yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on that one? Again, you know, for a film which is...
There's too many metaphors, that's what, like... I think the problem with Zack Snyder's, the way he's trying to make these films, he's trying to throw loads of iconography. Is it iconography? Iconology? Iconography?
Like, well, you know...
Lots of imagery, lots of... like Judeo-Christian imagery. There's lots of things in there that are trying to like be a metaphor for Batman versus Superman struggles, and they just don't work. There's no need to have them in there, and I think that's why a lot of people are complaining about these films. There's so much he's trying to reference and refer to that you lose the plot because of it. There's dream sequences, there's courtroom dramas that don't take off, there's bad guys that you can't really understand their motives. Yeah, it kind of really makes for a mashed together film. But from a fan's perspective, everything I saw in the film I loved, and I could see the references from the comic books, and I could see where it was going, and it's set up a lot of questions that each story can play out. What's going on with the Flash? How did Cyborg get his abilities? Aquaman's there. We've got Wonder Woman origin story to look forward to. We've got Suicide Squad coming out, which could be a prequel now that we know a little bit about.
Yeah, I mean, that's a weird thing with this film, and again, how it compares to the Marvel universe, I suppose. Like, it's trying to do, you know, this is the equivalent of the DC cinematic universe's Avengers.
Yes.
In that, like, here they are, it's a big clash, it's the kind of big accumulation of all that thing, and it's doing so off the back of one film and trying to cram everything else into this one.
Absolutely.
Where, you know, we had Iron Man 2, Hulk, for Captain America.
15 years.
You know, I mean, we had like a load of stuff before, you know what I mean? Like, there was just like, you know, and by the time we got to Avengers, that's the technical term for character development or whatever, I suppose. But like, by the time we got to Avengers, you know, you already knew Iron Man, you knew Captain America, you know, and you kind of felt for these characters and you kind of understood these characters. And, you know, like, the interesting thing was seeing these people you know so well playing off each other. The fact is, you don't know Batman at all before this film, or this Batman at least, because it isn't, they go to great lengths to say that it isn't the Batman you know, and you kind of, you know, don't know Superman that well either, really, because, you know, he's meant to be a reformed character since that first film, of, you know, for sort of the action he took against Zod, but, you know, we still don't really know him, and, like, you don't get much more from him in this film to know him any better, really, you know, it's kind of not there. Let's jump on a little in this story. Got a couple of things, I suppose. We see a little bit more of the newspaper dynamic, which, again, for someone who, I guess we've both done journalism to an extent as part of our media courses. As far as I'm aware, I don't know how many newspapers necessarily just one day the editor goes, you can do sport. sports.
Yeah, you have sports.
Yeah, go need the helicopter. It's fine. Like, I don't know, the Shields Gazette might not have that.
You normally specialise in like a specific area of journalism, whether it be sports or anything. But Superman doing sports, really?
I was gonna say, yeah, just on like, you know, a big city newspaper on a whim, just being like, today you're doing sport. I feel like that, you know, I'm not sure necessarily the level of realism.
Yeah.
In that one, we also get sort of Batman on the hunt, you know, sort of like doing his sort of detective comics work. We see him in a kind of fight club.
Yes.
Taking
that's a pretty good scene.
Who's he chasing again?
The White Portuguese.
Yeah, the White Portuguese.
Basically, it's just a really cool scene where Bruce Wayne's being Batman as Bruce Wayne. So he just kind of strolls into this fight club. He's betting on fights, bare knuckle boxing, and then goes and chats to some guy at the bar, and he's like cloned his phone, and he just walks off, and it's just like it's so cool. Oh, you gotta like that. You gotta like that.
I mean, again, like, it's a weird thing, but like, and again, maybe it works in the fact that he's being a detective and trying to like get something from it. But I don't know. It just like, again, it just seems like him condoning sort of violence for the sake of it, sort of thing. Which I don't know. Again, maybe character-wise, seems like a bit of an off note for me.
Earlier, we were actually talking about this. How different Batman is in this film. He's not. He's got no problem using guns. He's got no problem with violence, and he does. From what we've been discussing, he doesn't seem to save people's lives at the moment. And again, talking about Frank Miller's Batman, that was a very big theme in the Batman film, the Batman comic. Sorry, he was darker, more broody. Doesn't mind hurting people. We'll look at a few reviews before we actually started shooting, and nobody can give a definitive answer as if he actually kills anybody in the film. There's a building drops.
In this film?
Yes, in this film. Check it out. Check it out. I promise you.
I guess like it's something where maybe where Zack Snyder's saying, you know, he's seen videos of you know, Chris Nolan's films where, well, I guess if you look at it that way, he kind of kills someone. But like, you know, the main plot of his film is him literally trying to kill someone.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, and then like, I don't know if that justification of like, well, maybe we're survived, maybe we're fine. Like, I don't know if that holds up necessarily when, again, up till that final fight scene, he is going to kill him.
Yeah. He's
you know, so I
this.
suppose like, you know, that ambiguity is a little tough. I guess next up we've got the big dream sequence of the film, the kind of Mad Max Batman Road for sort of desert sequence.
Yes.
Which is an interesting, again, like it kind of odd how it goes into just a dream sequence from when he's looking at the computer or whatever.
Yeah.
But the dream sequence itself is like quite interesting, especially for like comic book fans.
We've got a lot of fans questioning whether there actually are dream sequences. Everybody's referencing the fact at the beginning, like as we've talked about, little Bruce getting lifted up out of the well. That's referred to as a dream sequence, but later on in the film, they're not actually referred to as dreams. He doesn't talk about them. So are the visions? Is it the glimpses of the future? These things come up in the comic books. There's a lot of animated films and TV series that refer to Batman being a key player in this kind of the dark side struggle sort of thing. So,
yeah, I mean, again, it sets up something that, you know, would make sense for one of these forthcoming Justice League films, I suppose. Yeah. But again, doing it in such a way is kind of jarring, I suppose, slightly too. But you know, I suppose maybe an intriguing sort of device.
Great.
Is it fan service? Like, you know, that's the thing. Again, knowing some of his history, is it rewarding? If you don't, does it make sense?
Yeah,
I suppose that kind of
that's the thing. Splitting opinions. Do you need all this backstory? Do fans who don't read comic books have much of this backstory? I mean, it's used a lot in media. The same kind of like always the same kind of basic storylines, the same kind of themes and things. So do fans actually have that background knowledge already? Or are we just assuming fans are stupid?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing where, again, you know, they're expecting something, but then also spoon feeding the other thing. I guess when he comes to, and you know, the loading bar's at 100% or whatever it is, he gets those files on the rest of, you know, these other superhuman characters that Lex Luthor knows about, and I suppose our Senator characters kind of being tracked into. What, you know, I guess, and in our introduction, a little bit more on Wonder Woman, but also our first glimpses at Cyborg, at the Flash, and at Aquaman. What do you think of this scene?
I really enjoyed this scene. I know you feel like it should have been a post-credit scene. It shouldn't have been right in the middle of the film, but I loved seeing small glimpses of what these new characters are going to bring to the story. So the Flash's abilities looked absolutely incredible. Jason Momoa flying out of the shipwreck. Oh, that was just like, that was mint. That was mint. I wet my pants a little bit at that bit. That's good.
I mean, yeah, it's something, again, we were talking about just before we started recording. Like, in a way, it's exciting, and in a way, is it kind of, you know, it's, again, halfway through a film, after you've already had 15 minutes of trailers before you went into the cinema, you kind of getting another 5 minutes of trailers sort of in the middle, like,
coming soon.
Like, yeah, it's literally coming soon for, like, here's Aquaman, here's the Flash, here's Cyborg, you know, like getting a box put on him or whatever it is. Like, like, and you know, it's not, and you know, it's, we're saying these are big dramatic characters for Justice League, you know, for Saviors of the Worlds and stuff like that. And the way we're introduced to them is like watching
a YouTube
10-second video on Dropbox. Yeah, you know what I mean? Of someone just kind of like Aquaman blue steel into the camera, then like flying off or whatever, and you know, like with like Cyborg again, just kind of screaming for a bit. Like, I don't know, is it?
But if they hadn't used them, would you not have been annoyed?
Well, again, it's the difference between how Marvel do things, I suppose, and how DC have been doing things. You know, I guess when Marvel have been laying these traces and stuff, it gets people excited. You know, because it does it in a cool way. Even thinking back to the first like couple of Iron Man films, of seeing Captain America's, you know, shield in the background, or when we see the hammer in the desert, you know, it kind of gives these little hints which are like, oh god, that seems cool. Well, this just seemed a little bit like, literally, you know, Lex Luthor had the little logos designed for it on his desktop anyway. You know, like here's this film you're gonna go and see. Here's this film you're gonna want to go and see. Like it didn't seem to have the subtlety. It just seemed to be a bit like, it just kind of bashed you over the head like, this character is going to be important, so you kind of maybe need to watch it. What did you think about Lex Luthor?
I thought it was very good. I wasn't expecting him to be as comedic as he was trying to be. I thought he'd be a bit more sinister. One bit in particular I was quite confused by was the speech he gave when Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne first meet. And he kind of just goes crazy on stage and
it starts off. That one's like, again, this is something that a lot of people have not been keen on, his sort of portrayal of Lex Luthor. Yeah. It's something actually I weirdly didn't mind in the film.
No, he added a nice counterpoint to their seriousness. He was kind of...
Like, that's the thing, yeah, I suppose it wasn't funny, but like I suppose it was different. And that speech bit starts off quite well, like, you know, like, free bar, blah blah blah, and you know, and it kind of like turns into him having his breakdown, I suppose, as he's kind of having these machinations. But you know, I suppose it's an interesting portrayal from Jesse Eisenberg, if nothing else.
I think he will be good. There's a few deleted scenes there that have been released over the last couple of weeks that we've been watching today, in fact. Gives you a bit more backstory as to why Lex Luthor might have gone a bit crazy after he's visited the downed ship. I'm not going to give anything away for that, I'll leave that to yourselves, but it does seem like he's got a lot more information than we're expecting from the ship.
Yeah, I suppose this might be, again, something that we can expect on the sort of, you know, extended cut, as well as in, you know, sort of future films too. We'll call that end of part one, and we'll come back for part two and keep going on some Batman vs Superman spoiler showdown
arguments.
Again, make sure you like, subscribe, so you can keep getting these videos, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and we'll be back for more real soon.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.